23rd of October. I stand before you all today a representative of the Pentonville Sheriff's Department, Detective Xander Gustav, at your service. I was summoned to Montgomery Heights this morning to investigate the murder of Orson Montgomery, playwright and patriarch of the famed Montgomery family. Mr. Montgomery was found dead in his home at 1600 hours one day past by his youngest son, with a fatal gunshot wound in the side of his head. Forensic investigators of Pentonville Sheriff's Department labeled the death as suicide. However, I have reduced the possibility remains of something far more sinister.
And what might that be?
Murder most foul. With my hunch taken into account, I have asked that the sole responsibility of this investigation and apprehending the killer be left in my care. And so my investigation, thorough as it shall be, will be undoubtedly brief. To keep you all in line with your busy schedule, murder most foul. And so, with my hunch taken into account, I have asked that the sole responsibility in apprehending the killer be left indubiously in my care. And so, my investigation, thorough as it may be, shall be kept brief in order to keep you all on your busy schedules one day past. I would also like to inform you all that as of today, I am celebrating my birthday. And so, before we get started with individual interrogation, ladies and gentlemen, can I get a hip hip hooray?
In the shuffling madness.
Mr. Armleth Montgomery, eldest son of Orson Montgomery and owner of the M Publishing Company. Good afternoon, Mr. Montgomery, and I must say, I am terribly sorry for your loss.
Well, first, can I just say that it is like a fucking pleasure to meet you, man. Like, it is a fucking pleasure. Like, just mad respect. And you know, Mr. Montgomery was my father. Please call me Amleth.
Okay, Armleth. It's an English name, is it not?
Danish, actually. I don't know why, but that was Dad for you.
Were you close with your father?
I wouldn't say any of us were, you know. He just wasn't that kind of a dad, you know. Never had that childhood, you know, like relationship and shit.
Ah, but you worked with him, yes?
Well, sure, but I wouldn't say I was any closer with the venom machine beside my office, you know.
Ah, but nobody else in the family worked in your father's publishing company. Why you?
Because while I may not have inherited Dad's creative spirit, I did inherit his mind. Fucking business, bro. I'm a fucking shark, man. I'm a fucking entrepreneur, you know? I be on that shit. I'm on that shit. Charles Foster Kane, man. That's me. I'm Dad's boy for business.
Did you spend a lot of time with your father?
Yeah, well, we never get enough, do we?
I suppose not. Now, you were home when your father passed, weren't you?
We all were.
Where were you?
I was watching TV.
What was on?
Classic episodes of Agatha Christie's Poirot.
Who was it?
Gorgeous femme fatale, of course.
Ah, did you predict this twist?
No, I never do. Try not to make assumptions, you know. I figure any murder mystery worth its time is worth enjoying without trying to ruin the fun. You know, man?
Now, Armleth, I must ask, what time was this?
They only show it between 2 and half 4 on the rerun channel. You know, it's the same schedule every day.
And if I'm not mistaken, which I ought not to be, your father was last seen between the hours of 2:45 and 1500 hours.
Correct. And everybody knows that's my TV time, you know? That's my chill zone, you know? That's Omelethville, man.
And there are witnesses?
Whole damn family. I asked Uncle Mo to ask Dad if he wanted to come down and watch it with me. It's one of the only times a day I get real, quality time with Dad outside of business. And I mean, he always says no, it's more of a formality at this point, but gesture's nice. Of course, I don't think Uncle Mo felt the same.
And why is that?
They seemed to have him busted up right before Dad turned up,
Thank you very much for your time, Hamlet. And once again, I am terribly sorry for your loss.
Hey, yeah, of course, bro. Respect. Like I said, I think you're, really doing the right thing, and I hope you can figure this out. Bump it, fist bump, man. Bump me. Come on, bump it.
Mr. Moses J. Montgomery, brother of the late Orson, and, as of his passing, future CEO at the Golden M Publishing Company. Thank you for joining me today, Mr. Montgomery, and once again, sorry for your loss.
Only thing you ought to be sorry for is I have to wait this long for my brother to die.
You weren't close with your brother.
Depends. Is the hunter close with the elk?
And which one are you?
My brother was a royal bastard, and I didn't kill him. But if I did, you certainly wouldn't find out.
Well, let's agree to disagree. Where were you between the hours of 2:15 and 1600 hours?
I was in my brother's. I was sat watching TV. He called me in for a surprise inquiry, but unsurprisingly, he got delayed. I had to wait. He's probably in there playing Chinese checkers just to piss me off. And if he was, it worked. After a while, Alma sent me to check on him, ask if he wanted to come down and watch some piss-poor TV with us. Once I went in, he was dead.
An unfortunate situation.
Yeah, pretty perfectly unfortunate if you ask me.
And according to your brother's will, you are to take over as CEO.
Ooh la la.
You aren't excited.
I rode right back across Arkansas. I whipped her brother.
If it makes me like him, it's just another middle finger from beyond the grave. Although I will say, better me than two of the sons. One's a moron and the other's a maniac.
How badly did you want the position?
If you're asking if I faked a suicide so I could take over as CEO, just so you know, I would have done that a long time if I thought I could get away with it. If I wanted to be CEO, I would have just sat back and waited.
You thought Orson was near retirement.
Yeah, near retirement of existence.
Is that so? But from what I understand, none of the other family members thought he was suicidal.
He wasn't suicidal. He's too stubborn for that. He was dying. Cancer, I reckon.
What makes you say this?
Coughing fits, medical episodes, regular hospital visits. He kept medication on him at all times. He said it was just a precaution, but everybody had their suspicions. I was damn sure it was prescribed. I know my brother. He's too stubborn to admit when he's vulnerable. He would have tried to outlive the cancer, but if you saw him, he was dying. Hey, shouldn't you be writing some of this down?
I assure you that anything worth remembering is being written down up here. Mr. Marvin Montgomery, youngest son of the Montgomery family, unemployed. I am sorry for your loss.
Appreciate it. This is some messed up shit, yo.
How would you describe you and your father's relationship?
How would I describe it? What's worse than awful? Terrible, horrible, shit, dog shit, horse shit, cow shit, bullshit.
I understand you and your father did not speak for some time.
Hell nah. Pops had some serious mental issues, yo. I mean, him and Alma's always ganging up on me. Oh, ever since Mom passed, only one that will listen to me, Uncle Mo. And you met him? He ain't exactly the cuddly type, bro.
Now, your brother informed me that you and your father fell out over your issues with substance abuse.
Nah, it was because I do drugs. I don't abuse nothing, bro.
Excellent. Now, your brother informed me that your father and uncle had something of a falling out in the hours of which your father was last seen. Is this true?
I don't know. Could be. Dad's office is soundproofed. I went to check on him because I heard, Moses went in and he got all ballistic on a psycho shit. Slammed the door and everything.
Interesting. And where were you between the hours of 2:15 and...
Alright, I'm gonna stop you right there. I know ain't nobody enter the house or leave the house in the time Dad wasn't seen. And I know that my room is right next to Dad's. And I know that I ain't like Mother Teresa and shit. But let me just say, I do know one thing. Alright, few nights back, Dad had a little too much Irish in his coffee, if you're catching my drift. Anyway, he got blasted, started talking to me like I was a person, so naturally, I got worried. Anyway, he tells me he's sick, he's dying. I mean, I heard rumors, but Dad was famous, there was always rumors. So he tells me he's gonna die, and he wants to fund my business startup. I wanna sell bouncy castles, you see? And he's finally agreed. Anyway, not long after this, I go to his office around 4 p.m. And I find he supposedly shot himself. Now, Dad was a lot of things, but he was far too stubborn to take his own life and let his brother outlive him. If I had killed him, I get nothing. I'm the easiest to pin it on, and I know there was no way I get anything in his will. I got blacklisted a long time back. So best case scenario, I'm third in line at a soul-crushing job I could never do. So yeah, I may be motherfucking dumb, but I ain't a dumb motherfucker. I had no reason to kill Dad. Wouldn't help me. In fact, I'll feel pretty damn helpless now he's gone. I just gotta wish I said goodbye, Hey, any way you can get me like a therapist and shit?
Thank you for your time. And once again, sorry for your loss. Gentlemen, having concluded my investigation, I have come to the conclusion that you are all innocent of your father's murder. However, this does not mean that you are all innocent in general. It has come to my attention that Orson Montgomery was dying of lung cancer. I believe he was diagnosed quite some time back, and I believe that all of you, in one way or another, were aware of this information. Amleth Montgomery, during your interrogation, you informed me that you and your father were not close. However, this turned out to be quite the tall tale, and it would appear to me that in all your time working together, and all the time you would have spent commiserating and collaborating, your father informed you that he was dying. And I believe that you were both of you aware that if you were to die, your Uncle Moses would take company. I believe that this is something neither of you were very keen about. And so, the two of you came up with a plan. As usual, you would watch television. I believe you said it was classic reruns of Agatha Christie's Poirot. I myself am quite a fan. However, though you were sticking to schedule, your uncle would be called quite unusually to the house to have a secret meeting with your father. Of course, the meeting was prolonged and he was told to wait with you watching television. You then asked him to go and ask your father if he wanted to come and join you. Now, you told me yourself that this was one of the only times of the day you got to spend quality time with your father, and I found it quite hard to believe that you would give up the chance to interact with your father, even if just for a brief few seconds, and lend the privilege to your uncle. Now, excuse me. Now, you said yourself that the transaction that would lead you to be the next in line for CEO is going to take quite a few months. And so, if your father was dying, and the only person who could make that change, it was in your best interest to make sure your uncle could never be CEO, which would lead it to you. Once your uncle led up, as you and your father had arranged, an argument began between them, although, as Marvin said, his room was soundproofed. And so, the contents of this argument were left unknown, although you did all say you heard the slamming of a door at the end, and so it was undoubted that there was some sort of conflict in the time your uncle entered and left the room. Once he left the room, your father took his gun from his safe, placed it against his temple, and took his own life. Your uncle returned and sat down, watching television with you, and after a few moments, Marvin went in to check on your father and found him dead, placing you as the one with the most solid alibi, making the least suspicion surround you. And that is why, Omnath, I was quite sure that you were in fact the most suspicious. Your alibi was almost too perfect.
Omnath Montgomery, you are hereby placed under arrest.